Hi everybody, so today we will be discussing our next lesson, and that is going to be about solving inequalities using multiplication and division. And so our goal will be to use multiplication or division to solve inequalities. Okay. So just a quick review here for the multiplication property. Okay, so just like when we have it with equation, we can multiply the same number on both sides of the equation. So same scenario with inequality. Whatever you multiply on the left side, you also have to multiply on the right side. But okay, this is one thing that's very different with multiplication property with equation and inequality. In equation, when you were multiplying a number with equation, it does not affect the equation. Okay, they are still going to be both equal. But now that we have an inequality, when you multiply by a positive number, okay, the multiplier is a positive number, your inequality stays the same. All right, so that is very important here. So positive multiplier, okay, positive multiplier, the inequality stays. Okay, inequality stays. But the moment that you multiply by a negative number, your inequality will flip. So as you can see here, if your C, the multiplier, is a negative number, your inequality will now change, okay? So that is the only thing that's different. So negative multiplier, let's get this up here, your inequality changes. Your inequality changes, okay? It will be on the opposite direction. So remember, this only happens if you're multiplying by a negative number. So let's have our example. So what are the solutions of x over 3 is less than negative 2, and then we also have to graph our solution, okay? So remember, our goal is to isolate our variable. Okay, and as you can see, x is together with a divided by 3. So how can we remove the divided by 3? We multiply by positive 3, okay? So we will be multiplying by positive 3 on this side. We will also multiply 3 on the right side. And so what we have now, this will be canceled out, all right? So x will now be alone. Negative 2 times 3, that will be negative 6. Now the question is, are we going to have less than or are we going to have greater than? Remember, we multiplied by a positive number, and so it will be staying as the inequality. All right, let's have the next. Oh, sorry, I forgot. We forgot to graph. Okay, so remember our graph. Oops. There we go. And so let's have this here. So our line graph will be 0. Oops. This is negative 6. And this is 0. And our graph would be a hollow dot. And it is pointing to the left. Okay. Sorry about that. Now let's have this next example. We have C over 8 is greater than 1 over 4. Try this one out on your own. Go ahead. So with this problem, our multiplier will be 8 because that goes together with the variable C. And so we will have C 1 over 4 times 8. That will be 8 over 4, which is going to be equal to 2. And since we multiplied by a positive number, our inequality stays. And so the graph would be a hollow dot at 2, and it's going to the right. Okay, let's have the next example. So here you can see that our multiplier now will be a negative number. Okay, so we have our example, negative 3 over 4 W is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, so remember, when you have a fraction together with your variable, the best thing that you can do to remove that fraction is to multiply it by its reciprocal. Okay, and so in this case, we will be multiplying it by negative 4 over 3, all right, so that we can cancel the numerator and denominator and numerator here. So on the right side, we have to multiply by negative 4 over 3. Okay, and so when we simplify negative times negative, that's going to be a positive, and we are left with our W. Okay, we have on the right side, we will have negative 3 times negative 4, that's negative 12 over 3, which is going to be equal to negative 4. All right, now remember, our multiplier was a negative number. Okay, a negative number. And what do we know about negative number multipliers? Your inequality will be switching sides. All right, and so this will now become less than or equal to, okay, and our final value of W is going to be less than or equal to negative 4. And graphing it, you have 0 and you have negative 4. It's going to be a solid dot on negative 4, and it is going to be pointing to the left side. All right. So why don't you try this next example on your own? Go ahead. So as you can see, our variable goes with a negative n divided by 3, so we need to remove the divided by 3 and that negative, so we multiply by negative 3 on both sides. And because we multiply by a negative number, our inequality switches. Negative 1 times negative 3, that's going to be a positive 3. All right.